Okay, now we have the goddess. This is a present participle. Pondering. Okay, such things in her inflamed heart to herself. Then come down here to the verb. Comes into the country, like fatherland, of the winds, a place teeming with the raging south winds, comma, Aeolia. Aeolia was the name of the place. Okay, remember with this hic, when it has a long mark, it's hic, and it means here. So here, in a vast cave, the king Aeolus. Do you see the chiasmus here with King Aeolus inside the vast cave? So here, in a vast cave, King Aeolus. You got to go down to the main verb right here. Controls with his power the struggling winds and the howling storms. Okay, so the image here is like a horse, and Aeolus is like pulling back on the reins of the horse to get him to keep him in line. Okay, and he restrains them by means of chains and in a prison. Okay, now the subject switches to the winds. So that's what the illy are, is talking about the winds. So, and this is a present participle describing the winds. So chafing, that's what this word means, they rumble around the barriers. So basically what they're talking about is the prison that's containing them. The winds are rumbling around in the prison. Okay, look at this alliteration and an onomatopoeia up here. With a great roar of the mountains. But listen to it. Magno cum murmure montis. Okay, and this next part is Aeolus, remember the king of the winds. Aeolus sits on his lofty citadel. Okay, and then this tenanes is describing Aeolus, present active participle. Okay, holding his scepter, and he softens their spirits, and he calms their angers. Okay, this next part is a should would condition, a future more vivid. I think we learned it as future more vivid. Yeah. So like should, and this is like Nizzy. So should he not do this, okay, and your subject down here is rapidly. Okay, you have to stick winds in it. The swift, winds in parentheses, would surely that's surely right there, would surely carry off with themselves. Okay, now look, go back up here. Carry off what? The seas and the lands and the deep heavens, and would sweep them through the airs. So basically, you're saying that Aeolus, is what is keeping things under control here. Okay, so we have, but the omnipotent Father, who's the omnipotent Father? Jupiter, hid them, talking about the winds, in dark caves. Okay, and this metuanes is a present participle that goes with the omnipotent Father on the previous line. Okay, and fearing this, he placed them, or like placed above them, a mountain, a mass and high mountains. And this word's above. Okay? And he, the omnipotent Father, gave them, the winds, a king, a ruler, okay, who is a relative clause of characteristic right here. Who would know how to restrain them by means of a certain agreement, and would know how to give. Okay, who would give lax reins or loose reins, having been ordered. It's having been ordered right here, talking about the ruler. So, in other words, if we continue with this image of the horse, okay, so he would know how to, have a tight control on the reins and really guide them to where they would be able to go, or to have loose reins and then, give them a little bit more freedom. Okay, on this next part, Juno is going to speak to Aeolus. So we have, to him, then Juno, as a suppliant, uses these words. Now don't forget that the verb utor, right here, utor, uti, usasum, takes the ablative as its object instead of the accusative. Okay, so now we're going to directly address Aeolus. So we have Aeolus. Since the father of the gods and the king of the men has granted to you to soothe the waves and to raise them by means of the wind, Okay, a race hostile to me sails the Tyrrhenian Sea. Okay, the race carrying, let's present active participle that goes with that, carrying Troy, Ilium is Troy, and the conquered Penates, remember the Penates are the household gods, into Italy. Now obviously they weren't actually carrying Troy physically, right? That's metonymy for, the remnants, the people that didn't get killed by the Trojans. Okay, this next part is a parade of imperatives. So let's look at the imperatives first here as we go. So we got, this is an imperative, right? This is an imperative. This is imperative. That's an imperative. So what does that tell you about, the how she addresses Aeolus, and what does it say about her character? She's kind of bold. Okay, so this next part says, strike, force to the winds, and overwhelm the sunken ships. Now, that may seem a little bit weird to you. That's called prolepsis, Prolepsis. And prolepsis is the reversal of the natural order of things. So, obviously, you're not going to sink ships that are already sunk. Okay, but he uses that to give emphasis of, how badly she wanted them to die, basically. Okay, or drive them in different directions and scatter their bodies on the sea. And now she's going to tell them of the reward that they're going to get. Okay? There are like in my possession twice 7 nymphs of outstanding beauty, of whom, talking about the nymphs, right? Deopia. Okay, so on this part you have to stick an est right here to make this relative clause good. So Deopia, who is most beautiful in form. Now be careful here because you might think that most beautiful goes with form, but look, this one's nominative and this one's ablative. Okay, we're going to continue the sentence on the next presentation.